Hello, here we are with another episode of Conscious Business Talk Show. And I wanted to, I was, today I really wanted to lead with something that I had started taking for granted pretty much. And I thought to myself, okay, things are changing. People are becoming so aware. This is such an exciting, awesome time to be. And it's because in my bubble, I get to talk to, I'm actually privileged to talk to a lot of people who are impact driven and are really, really conscious of their role as business owners. And I say that it's a privilege because it really is to be surrounded by people who get what you say, who are interested in the same impact, who see the world as something that is there for you to step into and leave better. That is indeed a privilege. Hi, Vicky. So great to see you. It's Oh, excellent. I'm glad you got the show to come up. I was looking for my amazing Vicky today. I was like, where is Vicky? So anyway, it is such a pleasure to have you here. You make my heart happy every time you're here. So thank you for being here. So I was part of an event on Monday and Tuesday, and it was a really good event. I got to talk to a lot of other entrepreneurs who are in different industries, and we got to compare thoughts and ideas. And exchange ideas and thoughts, and I got to be a part of an opportunity to help clarify the message a lot of the people there were working on, and I got to have their thoughts on what I was working on. So it was actually really cool. But one of the things that I think was probably the coolest, hey Zishan, I am so happy you're here. Yeah, one of the things that I found was actually the biggest gift. I'm going to call it a gift, and I'll tell you why. Is because some of the conversations got me to question and challenge my assumption. And that is actually a good thing, because sometimes when you get to question something and you realize the opportunity that's there, it actually lights up a fire within you that's even greater and stronger than the one that you started with. Do you get what I'm talking about? That you have been going along on your merry way, just kind of thinking things are one particular way, and everything you're doing kind of just stems from that, right? And I was, but when something breaks that model that you've been carrying, if you see that the opportunity is bigger, the gap is greater, and the things are like what your vision, what your dream is, the path to get to there are not as many people as you thought were part of it. It literally just amplifies everything that you were doing before. It, for me anyway, it lit up this fire going, what do you know? So this is what happened. The conversation that we were having, I was talking about recharge and what the idea behind recharge was and so on. And I got to see confused faces, okay? And the confused faces, the actual question that was brought up, not by one, not by two, but by many people was, wait, I don't really get what you were saying. The only reason business exists is to make money. And the only responsibility of business is to make money. There is no other, that there is nothing else. If you're there for that reason. And I had to pause, because I'm like, yes, that is definitely a very important primary responsibility of business and business owners. But I disagree that it is the only responsibility of business and business owners. So this is where I got to exchange some thoughts that no, there is an added layer to this directive that we have, that, hey, we have a business. Yes, the business is going to exist by making money. You are exchanging value. Okay, so this is my world, right? In my little bubble, which thankfully, amazingly, is expanding day by day by day. In my world, the people who are interacting with your business, including your customers, your clients, and I call them clients even if technically, legally, they're customers, depending on which business we're talking about. But to me, they're always clients because there is a duty of care that as an entrepreneur, I assume for them, right? So this is where I'm like, no, there's an added layer. Yes, you're going to create value for these people who you are caring for so much because they are expanding your mission just by interacting with you, investing in whatever you're creating and exchanging that value for something that you value, so both of you win, right? Or many of you win because there are multiple stakeholders, as we have talked about before, right? And that also means that there is one responsibility, which is, yes, create value, exchange value, and make money, because otherwise you're not in business. It doesn't exist. However, that's only one responsibility. The other responsibility, and in how I see it, it's an even greater foundational responsibility because that allows you to create more value, exchange greater value, and frankly speaking, make even more money. Because really, it allows you to show up so powerfully as you're in your role as an entrepreneur, right? It allows you to look at this and saying there's an added layer to this thing, right? To this world of entrepreneurship. Let's add in the layer that talks about awareness of your impact, awareness of your choices, being conscious and aware of your decision making, how you're impacting the lives of all those who are interacting with you. Because frankly, let's take one more stakeholder in that, your team. Their livelihood depends on you, right? That's a huge responsibility. How you show up to honor that responsibility shows up differently based on which values you're reflecting through your business, right? And it was such an eye-opener for me that, like, it's such a trite old phrase in today's day and age, but that's literally what was on my mind. In today's day and age, no, we are past that thing where we are thinking that as business owners, we have only one responsibility, and that is to make money. Because the next question that pops in my head when I hear that is, at what cost? If you're only thinking that, what else? Even if, and one of the people, don't get me wrong, they're good people, right? So one of the people there was like, well, maybe, you interact with a different set of people. Like, my business, of course, always has my values. But as they were talking, I'm thinking, yes, but again, question that if you're thinking that your business is set up around your values, it's reflecting your values, you're acting and living your values when you're operating as that entrepreneur, as that business owner, and yet you think that your sole responsibility is to make money, then how indeed is it, let's use the scientific principle for a moment. Is it really true that your values have the opportunity to show up powerfully in how you conduct your business? Do you see what I mean? That was the thing that was almost mind-blowing for me. These amazing people who are, exchanging ideas and thoughts and contributing and so on. It was like, I have managed to confuse you by saying that's not the sole responsibility. How does that work? You see what I mean? It's just like mind boggling for me. So I'm going to go to the comments because I really want to know what you guys are thinking. So, oh, awesome. MJ is here. Larissa is here. Few is here. Oh my gosh, look at all you guys. So awesome. And Zishan, I'm going to start with Vicky's. And Vicky says, yes, that is a privilege. I think it's one of the most amazing gifts and privileges to be surrounded by people who help amplify your voice, who support the amazing things you're doing, but are not afraid to call you out when you stray off what you say you're doing. So they help keep you in integrity, in alignment, because they show up as powerfully as you, because they help carry that vision, right? It's what greater gift could you have? And hey, Matt made it. He says Facebook was a little slow, but I made it. I was noticing things are a little slow to begin with today. And Zishan, this is usually Vicky's thing to say to me because I do have a little soapbox that I carry around, and sometimes I do get on it. So, and you're right, it is a common misconception, but I really thought that more and more people, because you hear so many people, hey, I want to, it's about my legacy, it's about my impact, and I want to clarify my message. Well, your message, your impact, and your legacy don't have a chance to really live what it could if you are thinking in such a single unidimensional way, right? That my only responsibility as an entrepreneur is to make money. Yeah, sure. It is a necessary thing for you to be in existence as a business. And if you're not making money, first of all, if you're not making money, that to me means let's take a look at what value you're creating for those you say you are there in existence as a business for. Let's take a look at it, because there's a gap there. If you're creating value, if you're showing up for those people because you genuinely care about solving their problem, you're creating value. And if you're creating value, there's a need for it, there is an exchange with it. It's impossible not to make money. There's something missing in that equation. And as soon as you kind of bring everything in alignment, put all the pieces in where they need to be, magic happens. Money flows, because that's what this whole thing is designed to do, right? And yeah, Vicky, I'm so happy. Yeah, I knew you would get that. It is just one reason. And there is so much more responsibility. You're absolutely right. There is so much more responsibility. But to me, that's part of the privilege as well, right? I get to do that. So one of the things that got me was I was like, oh, and then I went, oh, there's more work to be done. And I get to be one of all the ones doing this amazing stuff. I get to be one of them. I get to be one of the people who get to show people, guide people that, hey, there is a much simpler, funner way to do this. Let's go rock this world of entrepreneurship, because we get to have this opportunity to do things in such an elevated fashion. It changes your life, because business, I mean, much as sometimes it feels like that's all there is, it isn't. It's part of your life. It is not all of your life. What else is there, and how are you showing up there? And Zishan says, everyone has a responsibility to the world around them. Yes, we do. But, that's such a cool way you have of putting that. Everyone has a responsibility to the world around them, because the world around us can expand or contract, right? Based on what we are looking at, what we're seeing, and what filters we have there that affect our perception and our reception of it. And Vicky says, yes, awareness of your impact. awareness of your impact. When you're conscious of the impact, you're showing up as who you're being, the decisions you're making, the actions you're taking, all of that. And yes, indeed, the awareness, the consciousness of your impact. And Larissa, let's see. Larissa says, also, business leaders are moving towards embracing new values and wanting to gain an understanding of how to operate from a higher purpose. Absolutely. And that was the same understanding that I was operating under, right? Because that's who is in my circle, and that's who, as my clients, as more and more people that I'm working with understand the importance of, and especially since recharge, I have to confess, this is stuff that was there, we were talking about, but now with recharge, it's become such an integral part of the foundations of business that I talk about, right? That I guide people through and help design and shape their business around. That I just assume, yes, there's so many more people, and the start of this week was that needed extra fire that I really actually needed to kind of say, don't be sitting down and thinking all is hunky-dory, because there is so much more work needing to be done, because in all that space there were like 2 people who got what I was saying, and there were 30 people, 32 people there. Mind you, not everybody got to hear me say that, but in that particular discussion, but there was still a whole whack of people asking me, well, what do you mean business has only one purpose? No, business has many purposes, and it has added layers. But one of the primary core responsibilities, in addition to making money, is consideration of the consciousness and awareness that you're bringing in as the business owner, what impact you are making showing up as that person. And let's see. Oh, okay, let's take a look. Larissa, this is interesting. The reason for business leaders not getting the concept of building business with awareness of values, purpose, and inner connections because they don't feel such connection. Oh, that's a deep point. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's the integral part, right? Because we often forget that the most valuable the most valuable asset of a business is the entrepreneur at its core, right? How do you nurture and develop that entrepreneur so they show up as the conscious leader of that enterprise, and how their thinking then permeates all levels of that organization? As we talked about, how do you infuse that so that it gets embraced at every level in every role? And the connection within is getting stronger because you're not neglecting the entrepreneur that's at the core of this whole enterprise. And Zishan, a company's core values should also include the individual's values regarding awareness of the shared humanity between them, the customers they have, and the people affected by their business, and the way it operates, whether it be employees, people from areas where they're taking resources from, etc. 100% conscious business leadership, right? And that's literally such a core part of Recharge, because the website, by the way, is coming along really well. So there is actually in the holistic growth strategies, Recharge is making its way, because as I was reading the words, the copywriting aspect of it, I was like, I didn't even think that HGS was going to reflect it so much. I thought for sure that it was going to have its own thing, but it's literally infusing and weaving. It's like I can see the patterns, I can see the threads weaving through everything that HGS is doing. So holistic growth strategies and Recharge, I believe, have gotten married and are about to have a baby. And few. Um, I said this already, and I didn't realize you were answering Larissa's comment. But few, this is one of the things that I think is so important in what you also talk to people about, right? Because it's different aspects of the same core idea of that connection, right? Of that ability to be more, do more, have more, right? And Vicky, you're right. It's part of being in the club. It literally is. But what a wonderful club, because it recharges you as you go along. And Pew says, do you think that some business leaders needed to be aware and accept the fact that they need to charge and do the inner work first and understand their uniqueness, then can be effective and transform their business? Yes, and see, that was one of the things that came up because somebody was working on one of the people there who actually got what I was talking about. Their work is with fathers, right? And they help fathers actually form the relationships by understanding themselves, and then forming those relationships with their children, especially their sons, right? So that the bond is there between that father-son bond is there, but in a way that actually supports the relationship so much more fully than otherwise, right? And one of the things they mentioned was the work that you have to kind of do for yourself first. And I saw that the same business owners who were confused with this, they were able to embrace that because it was a step removed from the business. You see, that was in their personal life. They could do it, they could do the work. In the business life, they saw their core function as primarily generating money. Right? So there was a little bit of a disconnect there. But there's always hope. Whenever people are working on this, it cannot but help show up in this, right? It's aspects of your life. And MJ, you're right. There is life after work. It is up to us to decide to build our life around our business. We must be intentional about it. And it takes a commitment, and again the word consciousness comes into it, right? That awareness. We do have um, to be intentional about it and bring it in for sure. And Larissa, the exchange of value for money needs to be effortless if it is within the universal level of cause and effect. Beautifully said. You're absolutely right. And it does become effortless when you have the focus on the right things. This was such a wonderful interaction back and forth because I knew you would get this. I knew that you would understand the assumption that we sometimes operate under is I was going along just assuming everybody gets this, right? And then having a challenge, but I needed that because that way I don't get super, hey Gayan, how are you? So great to have you. So I don't get to just sit on my, comfy laurels and just kind of say, okay, everybody gets it. No, there's so much more work that needs to be done. And that's where I love having you here, because that becomes part of that spread of the message, you sharing those thoughts, those ideas, because I know you get this. And we'll wrap up with Zishan saying, I find a big part of work culture is often focusing on grinding and largely neglecting ourselves for the sake of the business. This puts a damper on people doing the inner work, which lends to unethical business practices. Oh my gosh, so true. When I feel drained, I don't feel the same zest and MJ, you would get this, and everybody, like, it's that, and I say MJ would get this, and Zishan, you would get this, because this is such a typical French expression, right? The joie de vivre. I'm probably killing it. You guys will say it much better, but you get what I'm talking about, that zest for life, right? So I am blessed, and frankly, I feel privileged that I have people like you around me who help spread this because you get it. And I just wanted to share that the opportunity is even bigger than I thought up until the beginning of this week, because boy, I got a little gobsmacked going, what do you mean you don't understand? But it was an opportunity to open that discussion, and hence such a gift. So thank you for being with me here. Love having you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will see you next Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific, and I believe it's 10:30 a.m. Friday on Brisbane time. So cheers, and we'll see you